I'm leaving it behind. It's not serving me. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy. My name is Amanda, and today we have the 25th episode of the Knits by Mandy podcast. If you're new here, hello, my name is Amanda. I follow a pretty standard podcast format. I talk about what I've been working on, my whips, my acquisitions and future plans, and then I like to sprinkle in a little media review at the end, talk about what I've been reading or watching while I've been knitting in the past month or months. It's been almost 2 months since I filmed a podcast episode, which feels wild. But it is now August. As Taylor Swift said, it truly slipped away like a bottle of wine, and that's what the summer feels like. It's been busy, but in a good way. I've been on a few trips, like weekend trips this year. I haven't had... Okay, Sassy's already playing with my knitting over here, my cat. I've gone on a few weekend trips to the beach. I went to the Outer Banks with my fiance's family. I went on a bachelorette trip that I planned last weekend to Delaware, which was so much fun. And I feel like I've finally recovered from it. I'm 2 weeks away from wrapping up my certificate program that I've been taking. Almost 9 months this year, I've been working on a graduate certificate in instructional design, and I'm almost done and so excited. Once I finish, I really want to focus this last half of the year on my YouTube creation. I feel like I say that every video that I've been posting since, but that just is a testament to how much I miss being creative here and connecting with you all. That's why I'm really excited about this video sponsor, Skillshare. Over the past few weeks, I've been taking classes in a learning path on Skillshare about how to grow your first YouTube channel. Learning path consists of 6 classes from experts in the field and cover topics from speaking confidently on camera, how to attract an audience, to editing your videos, and more. Haven't heard, Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives, led by industry experts across film, productivity, illustration, and more. For all my fiber artists and my knitting friends, I have a bunch of classes on knitting, crochet, embroidery, and if you want to branch out into different types of arts or crafts, they also have classes on drawing and painting. One thing I love about Skillshare is that each class focuses on having a finished project or a finished object, if you will, at the end of each class. And I really love being able to apply and demonstrate my learnings in that way. So great news, the first 500 people to click the link in the description of this video will get 1 month of free trial of Skillshare. So go ahead and get started today. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Let's get into what I've been knitting on this past month and a half. Crazy. The last time I saw you, I was working on this vacation vest, and it's done. It's been done for a while, and this is the vacation vest by Park and Knit. I'm really happy with this. I honestly do not have another finished garment from this summer, but like this I'm happy with. I'm just really excited that I got the chance to use these yarns. I knit the size medium, and I knit this using cotlin from Knit Picks in the colorway Swan, and then also creative tweed in the rainbow colorway. I held them together. This is knit as a worsted weight, and so the DK weight in the tweed made me hit gauge pretty well. So cute. I will try it on for you all. I've honestly just worn this with like a bra underneath, and it's been really cute for like a concert this summer. And I opted to do 2 I-cord ties instead of the hook and eye closure that the pattern specifies. So this is what it looks like on. It's like the cutest accessory. I also wanted to have a little like Pride Month craft, and I'm glad that I got to make this. I know it's literally August now. Pride's been over for 2 whole months. It's my goal, and I did accomplish it even though it's been a while. And I'm just really happy with how it turned out. The one thing that I had a hard time with was the armhole depth. They're still probably like a little wider than I would want, but I ended up following the instructions in the pattern to make them a lot tighter. They were a lot bigger when I first made them. The instructions in the pattern say to use a slip stitch crochet chain around the entire armhole, and when I read that, I was a little apprehensive. I wasn't sure if that was going to work. With my own knitting hubris, I was like, let me just do it my way, which was silly. And I tried picking up stitches around and knitting them instead. However, there was an issue with that. So if you look close, you can see on both edges of this tank top, there are these kind of slip stitch knitted edges. And when you pick up stitches on a slip stitch edge, it looks really bad. Tried doing that a few different times, didn't look right. It just looked weird. The stitches were really far out. So I was like, yeah, I should just follow what the pattern said. Lo and behold, it worked. What I did was I used, I think maybe like a 4mm crochet needle, pretty small. And I also only used the cotlin held single, and I didn't hold the creative tweed with it. And it ended up working out really nicely. I think if you knit this in a solid color, that like single crochet in a contrasting color could be really fun. And it's just a really cute layering piece for the summer. I just added the I-cords where she kind of instructed the holes, the hook and eye would be added, and it worked out well for me. I just like, I think the casualness of the I-cords, I think it makes it a little bit more customizable with fit should I get bigger or smaller. And I did notice in some people's on Ravelry, like there was a little bit of gaping with the hook and eyes that I wanted to avoid. And so I felt like the I-cords were the best way to do that. So this is like my summer knit this year, and I have good memories of it. I did it on yet another trip when I went to New River Gorge in West Virginia this year, which was so beautiful. It's America's newest national park. You should check it out if you're ever near Fayetteville, West Virginia. I'll just have good memories of this tank top whenever I wear it. Really happy with this one. I love the look that the tweed gives. I'll give you one more look. It's really fun. It's a little like not as bright as I wanted it to be. It was supposed to rain today, but this is like pretty realistic to what it looks like. So yes, that is my vacation vest by Park and Knit, and I would recommend it. If you want like a fun layering piece for the summer, I would go for this for sure. And it's really quick because it's knit up on, I think 5mm needles, which I used for the tank top. I have another finished object, and if you saw my summer knitting inspiration video, you would have seen that I've been working on this. One thing that also happened this year that's been really exciting is my cousin had a baby, and I've been on various trips back home to Pittsburgh, where I'm from, to visit said baby, and I'll be making another trip soon in August. And I wanted to get him, of course, another gift because he's adorable and he's perfect. My family has been calling him Chicken as a nickname. So of course I had to knit a chicken for Chicken, and I decided to knit the emotional support chicken. This is so big. It's so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. This is the emotional support chicken by the Knitting Tree LA. This is my first time making like a stuffed animal. I've made a stuffed pillow before, but this was really my first foray into like creature knitting, and it was really fun, I have to say. The entire thing is knit in a garter stitch. You kind of start out making this tail, and then you knit this section, and then you knit another flat bottom section for its bump, its roost. I don't know what you would call this part of a chicken, but that part, and then you get to add cute little eyes, a wattle, and a top part, the comb and the wattle, and I put in some safety eyes that I got at Michael's. I knit this up using the 2 of Wands acrylic yarn from Joann's. I believe it's called Hue and Me. I had some left over. That was this color, this one, and the beak. And then I had just some like, I think this is woolies that I like made Christmas ornaments with in my stash to trim this end. But I packed this with polyfill as opposed to yarn because it was going to a child, and I felt like the yarn doesn't have as much like give as polyfill does. Really tried to like make it quite plump. I think it's a little uneven in places, but I think over time she'll kind of even out, and I wanted just to make sure that like it could withstand squeezing and holding, and it's so soft. I mentioned I think this in my other video, I really like this acrylic yarn. It doesn't have that plasticky feel. I think the caveat of that is it's not like wound super tightly. Kind of see here it's starting to fray, which gets a little annoying when weaving in ends, but it's quite soft, and I think really good for like a plushie like this, or a baby blanket, anything really like you want to make soft with acrylic, I would recommend using this yarn. This took me like a while to make. I made most of it and then I put it back down. We were watching Big Little Lies for the first time when I was knitting this. If you find this, like when you're making something while watching a show or listening to something, you kind of associate with that. And Big Little Lies isn't like the happiest show. And so I kind of associated like doing short rows and switching colors with like Nicole Kidman. Anyway, I finally finished this watching the Olympics yesterday, and I'm so happy because I'm going up again like to Pittsburgh in August, and he's just so cute. Just the cutest thing. If you need just a bump of serotonin, you can't like just set it and forget it on this pattern, but it's pretty easy, I'd say, if you have any experience using short rows. I'd recommend this. It's just so fun. It's a good stash buster, and like you'll just be so happy when you make this. Every time I got kind of close, I just kept showing Austin and I was like, it's a chicken, look. And he was like, yeah, babe, it's a chicken. Now I'm doing it to you. Very excited to give my little baby cousin chicken a chicken, and this was my second finished object of the summer. Those are my only finished objects. I am working on, hopefully like one more summer tank top. I did some impulse purchasing, which I usually don't do, and this is why. I'll show you. Back in July, I filmed my summer inspiration video, and I was really ready to get another summer project on my needles. I didn't really have anything in stash that I could start, something that I wanted to start with. I set off to my local yarn store in hopes of getting some knitting for olive cotton merino to knit the Lima top, and they didn't have a lot in colors that I wanted. I don't think they had any white, and the Lima top is a color work like white and blue top, and I wanted to do something similar to that. I was like, okay, well, I just made this kind of like day out of going to the yarn store, and I was kind of planning on knitting that afternoon and going by the pool and knitting, and I was like, well, I have to buy something. So this Mandarin Petit sandesgarn cotton caught my eye. Really pretty, super splitty. Let me like bring it closer. Really pretty color. And I was like, maybe it's time that I self-draft another pattern again. And I started to. I was thinking maybe I could knit something like, I think it's the Aubrey or Audrey top by Petit Knit, but one of those tank tops that has like a high square neck and kind of goes down like that. I cast one on. I ran into the same issue that I ran into last summer, where when I swatch flat and then I do circular knitting, especially with these summer fingering weight fibers, the circular and in the round gauge is way different than my flat gauge. I posted about it on Instagram and someone was like, maybe you're doing math wrong. And I'm like, I don't think that I am. I was like, okay, no more math. I'm leaving it behind. It's not serving me. I cut a piece of string and measured it around my bust, which is my widest part. And I was like, I'm going to, Sassy wants to play so bad. I was like, I'm going to measure this yarn. I'm gonna cast on stitches, maybe put them on a barber cord if I need to, and see if they're the length of this yarn, and like that's what I'm doing. And I think I ended up needing like 80 stitches left, like something crazy. Like I think I cast it on like 220, and then I only, for the big one, and then the one that fits me is like 160. I'm not doing my math, don't check me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna work on this again. Also, I'll be real honest in saying that like in July in America, things were weird. Things were really weird, and I'll leave it at that. And so I wasn't really in a creative space. I really wasn't in a place to just like pick up my knitting. And so I was just working on this in the round for a while until I realized I twisted it. You can see that right there. And I'm honestly like, this is half off the needles. Like this is the state of my country. This is the state of my mental state. This is where I'm at, where I casted on this twisted tube, and I'm just going to undo this. And I ended up just buying more yarn, which I'll show you in a second. But this wasn't exactly like what I wanted to knit, and I didn't really feel like I had it in me to continue. I wasn't feeling so jazzed about this project, so I was like, I'm gonna put this aside for now. It might become something later. But you know when like you just kind of had it and you need to put something aside before you frog it? That's where I was at. So like I was kind of halfway through the chicken. I cast this on, and then I was like, okay, it's actually time to finish the chicken. And now I have to undo this and kind of deal with this over here. That's where I'm at with my summer knitting. I do feel like when I don't have as like much dedicated time to think about like and plan out my knits, I kind of end up rushing them, and that's when you end up with mistakes with like the sizing, and then not realizing you twisted stitches until 20 rows in. And that's just kind of like where I've been. Like I haven't had as much time to really lock into my knitting. And then it gets frustrating because you make mistakes and you kind of wish that all the time that you were spending, like the limited time that you had, was productive, but it wasn't. Sometimes it gets like a little discouraging and you're like, okay, I just need to put this away. And I decided just to buy more yarn because there's one thing that I really want to make, and I think that having this and this bigger project that I have on the needles that I'm going to show you soon will be keeping me busy. And so with that being said, let's transition into acquisitions and future plans. This is usually like the same kind of section for me, and I'll show you. So the thing that I got is some yarn. I ended up ordering some knitting for Olive from Wool & Co., which is a store I believe in Chicago. And let's unbox it together. Really want to make the mixture of Cami by Florence Miller. And I just knew that this wouldn't, like 100% cotton, wouldn't lend well to that because it's not stretchy. It doesn't have the memory that wool has. So I wanted to buy a cotton merino. I don't do fully wool camisoles. I did that once and I learned. And let me show you what I ordered for this mixture of cami. I think it's perfect. Okay, I decided to order red currant by Knitting for Olive in the cotton merino. I think this will be the perfect transitional color for summer to fall, and I think knitting it in a cotton merino will also make the tank top transitional. It'll be a good layering piece. And see, like this is what I needed. I needed something I think to be a little excited about. Did I make some mistakes along the way? Yes. This is very Team USA. Look at that. Oh, there she is. She's finally here to say hi. I don't think Sassy's made a cameo in a video for a while. Here's Sassy. She's like, please put me down. You wanna sit? She's like, I wanna cause chaos. I know. So that is the plan for this yarn. I want to at least, again, have one more summer tank. I feel like 2 tanks for a summer is good. Who cares? That's my pace. That's what I've been working at. I've been doing other things. And I'm excited to have this on the needle. I honestly probably won't swatch. I'll do my same technique of kind of just eyeballing it. Like sometimes that's better if you're having issues with your gauge. So that's what I'm going to cast on next, as well as my Stella quilt blanket. The pattern's out and I've been collecting yarn for a while. Let's show you where I am. Last month, I laid out all my minis. I got everything in the mail finally and started organizing them. And I have everything in this bag right here. This is a Target bag that was in like the dollar bin, and it's like the best project bag. Funny story really quickly is when we were going to the beach in July, we had packed everything in the car, we were getting ready, and I said to Austin, I said, oh, can you get my knitting bag? I forgot it upstairs. The leather one. And he was like, okay. He comes down with the leather one and this entire bag full of the minis that I just sorted. He was like, did you want these too? And I was like, I don't think I'll need those for 4 days, but thanks so much. And he brought literally like probably $200 worth of yarn in our trip. It's so fun. Maybe I can show you like the color groupings that I have in here and what I'm thinking. Before I do that, I'll show you that I tried to buy some, like the main color. I wanted to go for like a white or like a natural tone. And I bought some undyed yarn, which I've never done before. And I wasn't planning on dyeing it. I was just thinking it was going to be like a good shade. I ended up getting some yarn from We Crochet or Knit Picks. This is their Hawthorne DK, which is just like their superwash like sock yarn. It's too yellow. Now that I'm looking at it, it's like really creamy and really yellow, and this is like not the vibe that I'm going for. I think I would want something more on like a white or like an off-white. I know I'm kind of splitting hairs here. This is what it looks like, and I almost cut into this last night to start knitting, and I was like, I don't think I love it enough to commit to like this being the primary color in the entire blanket. So I'm gonna take this back. But in case you wanted to know, this is what the Hawthorne DK from Knit Picks undyed looks like. I think I might need to get something that's actually like white or like natural. Well, natural is not dyed, but something with like a little something to it, because this is just a little too warm and a little too creamy for what I'm going for, if that makes sense. A little too yellow, honestly. So that is my roadblock. Not to be a project manager here, but that's my roadblock with this, is like the color of this yarn. I even put it up against my folklore cardigan, which is made in like a natural yarn, and like that's even whiter than this. So I know that I can get just like a little more what I wanted. I think I might need to go in person. I need to like get into Alexandria, basically. I need to go to Virginia. I think to go to Fibre Space. I love my local yarn store here in DuPont, but like their selection just isn't as big as I wanted. So let's do like a lightning round of review of all the colors of the minis. And I mostly put them in here by color. Let's see how I do. So I have some blues here. Very pretty, like some really dark shades. I have some green. I'll show you what this larger skein is in a second. I'm really excited to get these into a project. Not excited to wind these all up. Orangey rust shades as well. Pinkish ones. Really pretty to do kind of a pastel-y square in my Stella quilt blanket. Oh, I have a lot of pretty pinks and a lot of like different intensities of pink. Like I have some neons and some like maroons. So I still have like some figuring out to do with where I want everything to go. My lap is literally covered in minis right now. Or purples, I think these go with the nudes. Purples and nudes. Purples. And I have a few reds, as well as like a scrap of what I'll add to the reds as well. What I'm working with so far, like that's most of it. Like I have a reel on my Instagram that shows like everything. That's a little more comprehensive. I don't know if like a whole video dedicated to this blanket would be good. Would that be interesting? Let me know what you think. Like, would you want to see me like picking out all the colors and knitting the different squares? I think the original design process could be fun, but then maybe it would get redundant. But if that's something you're interested in seeing, I'm totally open to documenting making this blanket. It might just take a while, but if you're interested in that, let me know. And yeah, that'll be like cozy winter, fall knitting. Not to like rush us out of summer. I think it's gonna be warm here for a while, but thinking ahead, that'll be coming up for me eventually. Like, not to make football sound cozy, but like football will be on, maybe some chili in the crock pot, knitting some squares. That'll be really nice. That is what I have like almost finally ready to make for the Stella quilt blanket, which came out last week at the time of filming. So very excited. I've talked about the blanket a lot. It is a quilt style knit pattern by Laura Penrose. I've talked about it at length. I won't go too much into it, but it's a really pretty quilt style blanket knit pattern. So check it out if you are interested in what I've been mentioning. The last thing that I have to share is that I have some gifted yarn from Tyler at Arcane Fiberworks that I'm going to be knitting into this blanket. I also do want to do a giveaway of some of this yarn over on my Instagram. Once I hit 5,000 followers, I'm almost there. So go ahead, go over there and follow me if you want to see when that happens, or like help me get there. And I'll just show you what I'm planning on working into this project. I think I have one more skein in here. Let me show you what I'm planning on working into this project. I have one kind of like semi-tonal, and then the rest are kind of variegated, which I think will be a nice breakup to a lot of the tonal yarns in the blanket. The first one that really caught my eye was this color Green of Wheat. And it's this really pretty green and blue and cream color mixed together that I think will look really pretty with the greens in the blanket. And all of these are on a superwash nylon base, like a sock base. This is a fingering weight, and this is really pretty. I love it. And then for the purples and like maroons, I have Always and Forever, which is this brown, purple, light blue variegated yarn that I think will go nicely. Honestly, it could go maybe in a few different squares, but I think primarily the like dark purpley maroony colors it would look really well in, as well as this longing for lilac color, which is a really pretty maroon tonal. And then finally I have, this is called She Sells Seashells, and it is a pink and blue pastel that I think will go really nicely actually in the like the nudie square with like whites and the pearls and the light pinks. So thank you again to Arcane Fiberworks for gifting this yarn. I'm really excited to try it out. I'll be honest and say I haven't like used it yet, but I think working variegated yarns into this blanket is probably like the most realistic way that I'll use variegated yarns. I don't necessarily love them for like worn objects, nor would I make like I think a lot of worn objects out of superwash. So this is a great opportunity for me to try out these yarns. Thank you so much for sending these. With that, those are all the plans that I have so far. Really just excited to be back and talking to y'all. And let's just finish out with a little media review. We know we love it. A little behind the curve because it's already August, but if you're really feeling like you just want like a little bit of summer, you want a little bit of trash reality TV, you maybe want to like bury your head in the sand about the ever-changing American political climate, very specific, might I suggest Love Island USA. I've been looking to watching Love Island UK all year, and I have to say, it kind of disappointed me this season. They brought in Joey Essex, who's a big, like, from what I understand, UK reality star, and I think it kind of muddied the waters of the reality television experience to have someone who was so comfortable and almost calculated on camera, and I didn't even get to Casa in the UK season. And I'll be honest, it was really bumming me out. I felt like I had something missing from my summer. I always look forward to watching, you know, and keeping up with the episodes. I was hearing all these rumblings on the internet that the UK or the USA season was better than the UK season. And I was like, this can't be. I've never heard good things about the US season, really. But I did know that my girl Ariana Madix from Vanderpump Rules was hosting. So I was like, okay, I'm not really into finishing UK. Let's just try it out and see what happens. I was hooked immediately. I really liked the US season this year. I felt like they had more like challenges than the UK had. Just the cast was really good. There's been lots of good drama. I think the after show podcasts have been very fruitful and interesting as well. I feel like that's half the entertainment. I don't even know if I want to admit this, but I watched all of it in a week. Like, I just had it on in the house whenever I could as, you know, my little Sims in the background. And it was amazing. I loved it so much. I loved the couples this season. I finally was able to vote in a season of Love Island, which was exciting. I watched basically everything and made it so that I could watch the finale live and then vote. Like, that was my dedication. I voted for Serena and Cordell. I was so excited to see them win. That was great. I love Love Island. There's nothing really like it on TV. I think I've talked about this before, but I feel like a lot of the US, what I really appreciate about Love Island and what I think is different than a lot of US dating shows is it feels more real, although of course there is an element of editing and production of storylines that happens in any show. I'm not unaware of that. It feels more real, and it has maybe less of, and it takes itself a little less seriously. When I think of shows like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette or like Love is Blind, I find that sometimes the downfall of those shows, they take themselves like a little just too seriously, which is almost their Achilles heel because they don't acknowledge like how silly it is to maybe be falling in love on a reality show. I really enjoy that about Love Island, and especially this cast. I think compared to like a UK cast, they were more outspoken. In the UK, I think it has a bigger cultural presence. So now that the cast members that they're bringing on are probably more aware that they're on camera and more cognizant of how their actions will come off or how the public will react to them. I think there was some of that, especially with like Rob and Aaron in this season, but a lot of the people I felt like were acting and reacting very authentically to things and less like a production of how they were like supposed to act or what they wanted to come off as. That's that's kind of the issue with reality TV being made now, is because of social media, and now that people can launch careers from being on reality TV, people care more, and it makes it worse. It makes it worse when the people are more aware of like what they're taking part in. But I digress. That is my plug for a little last bits of summer reality TV fun if you're in the need of it once the Olympics wrap, which I've been fully into now. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. That's what really kind of took over my attention this in these past few months. Thank you so much for tuning in and catching up with me. Thank you so much for sticking around this year with me. It's been such a pleasure just to come back whenever I can and know that some folks will be tuning in. So I really, really appreciate it. And I hope to see y'all soon, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.